Greetings and salutations, and welcome to a new day here at the C-RafTy Media Workshop. The following video we were considering pulling purely because some of you people out there are such gentle souls and we don't wish to offend. However, on reviewing the video, we do not believe that there is anything offensive about it, and so what we ask is that you sit back and watch and leave your comments at the end. Thank you.
Welcome back. We've got a slightly different episode today. We want to talk about how society can be quite unfair on people with less money. And how it relates to us as tradesmen is if you live somewhere where let's say for example you don't have your own driveway and you have tradesmen come around and they have to pay for parking, that means you have to pay for the parking. Even down to if you don't have to pay for parking but you have permits, you're paying for the permits already. So you're spending more money than someone who simply has a driveway. How else does it work? If you live on the top floor of a tower block, and I'm doing the exact same job for someone who lives in a house with a driveway, for example, the amount of effort just to get my tools and material up there, you're probably paying for an extra person being a labourer now. The job's just got more expensive. Same job, just got more expensive.
It's because it's time related, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Because it now means that, for example, what he's trying to say is that if you had let's say you cut an 8x4 sheet, you can't carry an 8x4 sheet up 20 flights of stairs. So that means you now have to dissect it. And then when you get upstairs, you're going to have to reassemble it. But it's the getting it up the stairs, which requires manpower, which requires payment, which means that you're going to have to pay for more people or for more time. Yep. So it's unfair that the people that need things the most seem to pay the most relative to the type of jobs that they're having done, of course. But that's just how life is, isn't it? I mean,
it is how life is. I mean, it works the same, especially in the cities. You go into a more built-up area where they have the low emission zones, the ULEZs and the congestions. Yeah. You don't tend to get that outside of the city. So, in the built-up area, if you're in a congestion zone or a ULEZ zone, low emission zone and whatnot, you're going to be paying for that as well. Because when the tradesman comes in, when we're coming in to do the work, we have to pay ULEZ, we have to pay congestion. That's not going to come out of our daily wage. That's going to be added to the bill at the end. So if you live in one of them areas, you're going to be paying a little bit more for the same job again.
Exactly. So those that need it the most seem to pay the most. And it's sad to say, but that's just how it works out. It's not a case of you don't have different rates. Like you wouldn't charge someone who lives on a council estate a different rate to what you would charge someone who lives in a
detached house, wherever.
Yeah, in the suburbs. That's the word I was looking for. They get charged the same thing. However, the person who lives in the subs might have something a little bit more snazzy, which means you can charge them more. Whereas the person who lives in the town, in the city, on an estate, nowhere to park, difficult to get to, 10 floors up, you're paying for the time and effort it takes to get to your flat, your house, your masonette, whatever it is. And that's where it seems that it's unfair, but what do you do about it? How'd you get around it?
There is really no way of getting around that apart from taking a hit to your daily rate, your wages that you take home at the end of the day.
And then why should you do that?
But then why should you do that? Yeah, because then you're going to be doing the same amount of work for the same amount of work, but if anything, you're putting more effort into it because again, carrying the tools that extra distance, the material that extra distance, you're kind of going to be doing more work for less money if you do take that hit. That's the only way to help. You don't charge for parking, you don't charge the ULEZ, you don't charge the congestion, you don't get a labourer, you handball it all yourself. But then if you're doing that, the job's going to take longer. So if we don't get a labourer come in and charge and pay labourer's wage, and you want me to do it, well, I cost more than a labourer, and it's going to take me longer now. So if we don't do it that way, you're going to be paying the trade wage for an extra day.
Added to that, I mean, again, it sounds like I'm being a bit of a I don't even know what to call it. I'm going to give you an example. I went on an estate in South London. No.
Not that one.
No, on the carpet.
Yeah.
No, in fact, no, that's a different story.
Come in.
No, that's another story. I might tell you about that in a minute.
I know this.
But no, I was doing some work in a timber yard. A person saw me, wanted me to do some work in their house, told me where they lived, and I went there. Now, if I had got the job, I would have charged a lot of money because it was a job I didn't want to do because I didn't feel safe on the estate. This is when I say it's unfair. But because I didn't want to do the job, and when tradesmen don't want to do the job, they charge over the top, hoping that you will say, "No, you're costing too much."
But if you do accept it,
yeah, it was worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfair, but that's how it is. We don't want to do the job. Anyway, I've gone to this job knowing full well I have no intentions of coming back. Now, I'm upstairs and I'm looking down and I'm thinking to myself, all the thoughts that are going through my head are that if someone was to break into my van, which is where it's most likely on this estate, by the time I've gone downstairs, they've probably had a cup of tea, lunch, sandwich, and all sorts, and run off because the difficulty of getting from where I was along the balcony, down the stairs and to my van before they could get anything and get away. That's too frightening, and having your tools nicked is not nice. Anyway, I've come out of this estate, and this is what made me not want to go back. I came out of the estate, and there was a car parked in the front of the stairs. I can't believe I'm going to tell you this story. Anyway, I've come down, and it was night time as well. But you know, on them estates, they've got them bright lights, and this car was an XR3i, shiny red. Windows are down, ganja smoke was pouring out, easing out the windows, and the music was thumping. And me with my nosy self, I come down the stairs and I've just bent down a little bit, looked into the car, and I see 4 girls in it. I've walked around the car because I parked on the street. I didn't want to park on the estate, again, because I didn't think my van was going to be safe. As I'm walking, I heard the windows wind down, and I heard someone say, "Hey, come here." I jumped. I've never been back to that estate.
Was that in South London?
Yeah, it was South London.
I did not know that in South London.
My point is, if you don't feel safe, you're not going to work there. And if I go to a job and I don't feel safe, I'm not going to work there. So I never did the job in the end. In fact, I never even sent in the quote. I just wanted to get out of the house, out of the flat, and out of off the estate, and which is exactly what I did. Not returning. So again, it comes down to whether or not you feel safe, and it's not just about the cost. However, those that need it the most, I'll say it again, seem to pay the most.
Charge the poor more. That's why I put my bowler at them.
That sounds so callous, doesn't it? It sounds horrible.
It does. It sounds
really
horrible,
does.
but yeah.
If my pocket was bottomless, I would do jobs. I would, obviously, you take it. It's a case of what you see. If I saw that someone couldn't afford my skills, my ability, and they needed it, do you know what? Honestly, hand on heart, do it for nothing. I would. If I could have some kind of charity, I would do jobs like that for nothing. But it's a case of I too have to live. I have my bills, my responsibilities. So charge the poor more. I don't mean that, honestly. I don't. But it's just the way it seems to turn out.
Life's unfair.
It is.